Okay, hello everybody and welcome to the Management MSc Explained webinar. My name is Neil Godfrey and I'm your host today. Thank you very much for joining us. Before we get started, just like to take you through a few housekeeping issues. So to let you know that this webinar will be recorded so you can return and watch it in the future. Please do use the chat function throughout to ask your questions and we'll deal with them at the end. We've got Michael and Leila here from the Management MSc to answer your questions and to present on the programme. But first of all, I'd like Michael to introduce himself, and I've got a few questions for you as well, Michael.
Thank you, Neil. Welcome everyone, wherever you are. I appreciate that you might have it quite late or quite early in your days. And it's great to give us the opportunity to explain our Masters in Management. I'm the director of the program and I'm a professor for international human resource management here at Cranfield. And Leila, do you want to say something about yourself?
Hello everybody, thanks for joining us today. I hope you're all well and safe wherever you are in the world. I'm Leila Alinaghian, I'm a senior lecturer and of course deputy director. Brilliant.
Neil, over to you.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, I just had a few questions to get us started. First of all, the Management MSc is very much for early career professionals. And I just wondered if you could explain, broadly speaking, why the MSc in Management is so appropriate for this group in particular.
Okay, thank you, Neil. Look, generally, I would now normally make an argument about lifelong learning and how important it is to get skills, knowledge, and behavioral expertise, competencies early in your careers. In reality, as we stand here in COVID-19 days, it's become extremely clear why flexibility and virtual learning and the ability to work virtually is so important. I'm currently doing a research project with Ernst & Young and a few other companies, and it's clear that some of the effects, the long-term effects of COVID-19 will be that. It also becomes clear that we will need wise and responsible leaders in the long term. And this responsibility and wiseness is something at the core of the Masters in Management, how we designed it here in Cranfield. So in terms of specific things, why students should go and look at the Masters in Management here in Cranfield, I would like to mention 5 different key things. Number one, the School of Management prides itself to have a tagline that says knowledge into action. Okay, it's a real distinctiveness of the School of Management and the Masters in Management that we have not just leading edge knowledge, but we have a relentless practical focus. And that combined with an intensive learning experience at Cranfield, the consultancy projects that we do, and the overall usability angle of all our modules, that's really standing out. And Leila will talk more about it when she gives you a bit more detailed information about what goes on in the program. The second part that we are proud of is that coming to Cranfield and coming to our master's courses gives you credibility and capability, as we call it. Credibility has to do with how we design the programs. They tend to be we are a triple accredited School of Management. We are also accredited in addition on the Masters in Management by the Chartered Management Institute. That's credibility, so that they see on your CV you've done something really pretty good. Capability is got to do something which becomes really important in these COVID times, and that is about being that wise leader. Okay, we get students on a journey from understanding themselves to understanding others and to understanding how they influence others and become better leaders. And that's part and parcel of the program. So that's really quite important early on in your career, but of course throughout your career. And this capability actually grows even after you finished the program. And the next 3 points have to do with closeness. There is closeness to faculty, because we are all industry experts, but we have an open door policy, and we are approachable, and we like to be able to really work with students. Then there's closeness of students. That's simply to do with Cranfield itself being a campus university with lots of interaction amongst the students outside our lectures, but also inside, because we put people up into learning teams. And lastly, closeness to business. Okay, we are incredibly close to business. We, as you know, we have been highly ranked for this, for CED and for everything that we do in our masters. But also it's reflected in the internships that are part of this program, and that again Leila will talk more about. Neil. Neil, you need to unmute yourself because I can't hear you.
Yes, I've muted myself because it's a bit of feedback coming from my side. Michael, if you were to characterize a typical MSc student in management, how would you do that?
Oh, okay, that's a challenge, okay? Apart from saying these are pretty impressive people who want to achieve something in their lives. I mean, that's for sure. They're really wonderful students. I can give you a bit of data, and Leila again will give you data. It's an incredibly international cohort. We've got this year 19 different nations out of 74 students. I think about 40% of the students have a background of engineering. So they have an engineering degree. Another 40% roughly have a background in business. And then 20% are what I call wild and wonderful, in the sense of they have something else. We've had Formula 3 drivers on the program. We've had people who are who were Olympic gymnasts on the program. So that sort of background is there. We have about 40% of students from Europe and 60% of students from around the world. As far-flung as Colombia. We've got 2 students from Colombia at this time. We've got some from Africa, the Middle East, and then we have in Asia lots of countries, including China and India, but also Thailand and Indonesia and others. Okay.
So I'm guessing that you characterize a very diverse cohort. Am I right in assuming, therefore, that that's matched in terms of the career outcomes that people to go on to? I mean, what are the kind of career outcomes typically? I know it's hard to nail it down for everybody, but
yeah, no, it is again, it's wild and wonderful in a sense, but there is one bit that we are very proud of, and that's that almost all students have a job 3 months after they finish the course. The types of jobs are a lot with really quite well-known companies. So from Lufthansa and PwC and KPMG and Ernst & Young to some banks, to some consultancies, Bearing Point, for example. But also they might go back into their family businesses. They might join smaller companies. I mean, there's a large mixture. Quite a number stay in the UK for a few years because they use it as a sort of stepping stone to work in the UK and then come back. But it's very much geared, as you can imagine, by their own interests and how effective they are in the labor market, of course. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. And we're just for everybody, just a reminder that you'll be around at the end for the Q&A. So anybody that has any questions as they occur to you, please do put them onto the chat. And Michael will be here at the end of today with everybody else from our panel, and we'll take your questions at that point. But I'd like to hand over to Leila now, who is going to take you through a presentation about the program. Leila?
Thank you, Neil. So building on Michael's, what I'm going to do now is to give you a bit of background about the School of Management, where the MSc Management is delivered. We're going to talk a little about the course content and structure. And I'd like us to spend some time in the end to talk about internships. As Michael mentioned, this is a very unique aspect of Cranfield Management MSc that to be very, very proud of. So keep your questions coming through. So I just tried to share my screen with you all. Fantastic. So Cranfield School of Management is one of the oldest business schools in Europe. We, in fact, celebrated our 50th anniversary about 2 years ago. As Michael mentioned, we are one of the group of business schools that hold triple accreditations of AMBA, EQUIS, and AACSB. Actually, less than 1% of business schools in the world hold this triple accreditation, so we're very delighted to be part of such an elite group of business schools. As Michael mentioned, there is this big emphasis on you as an individuals when you come to Cranfield. So Cranfield is famous for its personal development. There is this strong message that runs through all of our courses, and that is for you to stay true to yourself, but also be aware of the impact that you're having on others. Over the last 50 years, Cranfield School of Management has been working with industry in various capacities through sponsored research, consulting project, teaching on executive development courses. But perhaps the one that's more relevant to you all is providing organizations with interns. More and more companies seeing this as an excellent way to increase their talent pipeline. And I'm going to talk a little about that later. So our MSc in Management has been ranked top 3 over the last 3 years by the Economist ranking. And we believe these rankings really rewards and highlights some of the unique aspects of the course, such as international course experience, internships, career prospects that we be passionately working on. So as Michael mentioned, so our MSc in Management in terms of content is very similar to Cranfield's highly regarded MBA course, but it is aimed at early career professionals. So basically, our aim is to provide you with knowledge and practical skills that you may need for your tackling complex business challenges. And in fact, we'd like to prepare you for your future role. To ensure the practicality of the course, basically, the course has been designed with senior practice advisor and industry professionals. And basically, you will be experiencing a blend of theory and practice through, highly experiential simulations, through consulting, through competitions and project work throughout the course. The course also offers you an opportunity to gain work experience during a 3-month internship project. As Michael touched on, the course is accredited by Chartered Management Institute, CMI. CMI is the only chartered professional body in the UK that is dedicated to promoting high standard in management and leadership excellence. So gaining a professional qualification along your degree is always giving our graduates that sort of career advantage. So in terms of basically the course structure, this is how the course is organized. So we organized the MSc in Management in 4 terms, as you can see. Basically, the course consists of 10 core modules, which we cover term 1 to term 3. You cover a wide range of topics related to management, ranging from accounting, finance, economics, to more specialized topics such as operations management, marketing, all the way to more softer aspects in management and leadership, such as people management, leadership, and organization behavior. There is this sort of a strong message that focus on sustainability that runs through across all our modules, but also we do have a specific module revolving around leading corporate sustainability that is highly experiential. So you will be playing a scenario exploration game where you will be kind of looking at future scenarios next 50 years, and you are exploring your role as citizens, companies, and government. So you're also going to have choices. So you're going to be choosing 3 elective modules out of 6. And this is a chance if you want to kind of gain more in-depth knowledge in a specialized topic. Cranfield's been famous for its supply chain management, entrepreneurship, in line with your future career aspirations. Term 3 and term 4 are rather thin. That's mainly because you're going to be doing your internships in term 3, as well as the consulting project. Then I'm going to talk more on those two. So I'd like to share a few highlights of the course we do as well. I mean, one of the highlights that the students often talk about is the management consulting module. And this is a chance for you to kind of work on a real consulting project with a well-known organization whose executives will be meeting with you. So you're going to have a couple of weeks to work with your team to understand the problem, to gather the data, to apply appropriate consulting tools, and more importantly, to put forward some innovative, achievable, pragmatic solutions. We worked in the past with Citigroup, for example, where the students looked at the role of digital media in learning. We worked at Ernst & Young in the past, where they wanted to explore how to engage millennial in the workplace. At this moment, our student for this year is working with Baker Hughes, the technology energy giant, and they are working on a really exciting topic of complexity thinking, the idea of non-linearity and emergence, and how to incorporate that basically in health and safety leadership development training. Yeah, they are working really, really hard. It's such an engaging module. And it's really great fun because you get to present to the executives, and it's good for company as well because they save a consultancy, and they are always very pleased with what our students doing. Another highlight of the course is one of our elective modules called Effective Cross-Cultural Management. This module is designed and run by Professor Dickmann, and in this module you're going to be exploring the issue, current issue of management and leadership arising from working with different cultures, both in domestic and international context. Michael's really passionate about this topic, and this module is outstanding in a sense that it takes place in somewhere outside Cranfield, in Spain, in Granada, where you have the opportunity to sort of immerse yourself into Spanish culture as you obtain the theoretical knowledge about effective cross-cultural management. So it's always very, very fun. Students really enjoy this module. Finally, throughout the year, we really promote and encourage and support our students to attend international and national student challenge and competitions. We believe that's a great opportunity for them to work with people beyond their cohort, but also beyond the discipline of management, to gain some cross-disciplinary experience, to work with on a real life challenge and propose novel solutions. So it's been several years in a row that one of the MIM team has won this student competitions Touch Wood. Last 2 years, we've been working, students attended the Unilever Innovation Accelerator Challenge in Cranfield, where they had to work on a real life challenge. And it was a great opportunity for them to receive mentoring from senior executive Unilever. The year before, MIM teams won the prize. It was a money prize of £5,000. This year, Kalyani and Melissa, our two MIM students, won the runner-up prize. They've done a fantastic job in proposing a new solution for lower-income consumers in India. That was really, really good. The board's really pleased to hear about their ideas. Great. As Michael mentioned, as I mentioned, internships, one of the unique aspects of MSc in management. Basically, we see internships as a continuation of your learning. So if you believe the learning cycle is not completed unless you have the opportunity to put into practice what you learned throughout the course. As a result, you're going to be doing a 3 month internship from 1st of June till the end of August, where you have the opportunity, like I said, to put in practice what you learn, to explore the challenge of management, whatever it is. At the moment, the challenge of management is to sort of engaging in virtual setting and working across borders, across time zones. And we expose our students to those management challenges. Previous years, we've been dealing with Brexit. So whatever it is, we expose you to those challenges, what's going on to real businesses. But as I said, companies also seeing this as a talent pipeline, because a lot of time they'd like to sort of see you in action for 3 months before they give you an offer for a full-time employment. So that's a good opportunity to also expand your network in the UK and gain some work experience. So we work with companies around the UK, but also internationally, to put together some project briefs. We'd love to learn about the problems, the challenges that they're tackling, and we turn them into some project briefs. We advertise them to our MSc in Management in an internal portal, and you have an opportunity to apply to those projects. And we support companies with arranging interviews and so on. And to be honest, I think it is that process that prepare you for future, regardless of the outcome. The fact that you engage in that process, that's very much replicate the real life job application sort of dynamics. And there's a lot of learning and a lot of takeaway that you can take from that experience. Basically, we worked with companies from across sectors, different sizes, different locations. And usually around 90% of our students manage to secure an internship. So this is a competitive process. The company will have the final say in choosing the applicants, like in the real world, but we provide support throughout the course with your CV, developing your CV, with your interview skill, to be able to enhance your chance, really. And we've been quite successful so far. We worked with companies like GKN, Amazon, Siemens, Ocado last year, L'Oreal, both in the UK, but also internationally, different countries. Great, fantastic. So what I'd like us to do now is to watch a little video about the internships. This is a good chance to hear from students who went to Finning at the Caterpillar, the largest Caterpillar dealer in the UK, and learn about the company, but also student experience.
There's been a number of different benefits with the interns coming into the organisation. Primarily, we like the fact that there's a diversity of thought in the process, different backgrounds that the students actually bring, in challenging the way that a lot of us look at the things in the business in terms of the processes, the thought patterns, injecting a lot of new ideas as well. So there's been quite a broad area in terms of what those interns have actually brought to us, which has been very rewarding. So the types of roles that the interns are involved in, quite a broad spectrum. We've got about 21 different projects running currently, which we call priority value drivers. They run from everything to do with financial accounting, all the way through to high-tech transmissions from machines, looking at how we can track machines and give them diagnostics, through to big data and data crunching.
My project is mainly about people. It's called Equality, Inclusion and Diversity, and it's mainly about how to attract women into male-dominant professions.
This project covers different areas like supply chain management, operation management. It's very interesting, the project that can combine all of these different areas, because I can put in practice all of this theoretical knowledge.
And currently I'm working in the sales aftermarket department, which is that about create the customer value and add the customer value to draw the mass connectivity between the technology and the company.
So far, my responsibility is to collect others' points, others' ideas from the engineers and the service controllers, and to do a benchmarking on these ideas. Then focus on the key areas that they mentioned about. Then do a brief analyze how we can achieve and solve problems that they arise, and also compare with their competitors, how the competitors do the things and how the market responds to these actions.
I represented Finning at an event called Aim High, which took place in Cranfield. It was very exciting for me as I met a lot of women in leadership roles who I can look up to and made a lot of connections. And it would be also very beneficial when I start writing my thesis.
Yes, I quite enjoy working in Finning because I found that it is a fun place for me to learn and grow.
So my relationship with Cranfield, very fortunate to attend Cranfield many years ago. The working relationship started over LinkedIn, of all things, which was, saw an advert about internship. I spoke to the business in my role, particularly interested in creating new business transformation. And the relationship with Cranfield has grown ever since.
So during my time in Cranfield, I've worked within the teams. Mostly it was practical work, and it made things easier while working inside a team in a company.
So we've already found that process improvements, we've found some insights into things that we wouldn't have come across, and we're expecting some significant financial benefits actually in terms of the projects.
Okay, great. So over to you, Neil.
Thank you, Leila. Thank you very much. Now, we have two current students with us today, so thank you to Nick and Kalani for joining us. And I've got a few questions for each of you, starting with you, Nick. Why did you choose Cranfield in the first place? What was your motivation for joining Cranfield?
So first off, hello everybody, and thank you for having me here today. I initially was studying an undergrad in geography up at the University of St Andrews, and I'd worked out that I wanted to work with people rather than working with something more physical, which lots of geographers go into. And I'd worked out I wanted to do something with management, but as to what I wanted to do in management, I had no idea. But I decided that if I was going to do it, I wanted to go somewhere where I'd be able to get enough experience of all the different fields of management, then be able to pick my own career path. So that if that answers the why did I want to study management, why Cranfield in particular, well, I looked at quite a few different business schools, and for me Cranfield had some of the best links to industry. Not many of my peers at my university had heard of it, but I actually talked to friends of the family, like my parents' friends, and they basically said if I got an offer from Cranfield, I'd be an idiot not to accept it, because the people who are at the age of hiring basically graduates at the moment, they know the value of the Cranfield degree, because Cranfield doesn't just have the students who come in from MIM or MBA, it also does a lot of executive education. So getting back to, I think it was Professor Dickmann, what he said earlier about links to industry, it means that a lot of CEOs and people at senior levels within a company have heard of Cranfield because they've done maybe not an MBA or a MIM, they've done a short course there, which means going out and being able to network beyond the university, you've got this huge alumni connection. And I actually, I wrote to basically 5 alumni from Cranfield and 5 alumni from a comparable business school, and 4 of the alumni from Cranfield responded on LinkedIn, whilst only 2 people from that other business school responded. So there's a community there which I feel like I can access. That was actually one of the deciding factors why Cranfield in the end.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Nick. And you've been here since October. What do you particularly enjoy about the course? What's your experience of the course?
Oof. Gosh, so suddenly thinking it's been since October, it's actually gone quite fast, scarily fast. For me, it's two-pronged. I think I've made some very good friends on the course, and my personal favourite part of it is the way it's taught, with the learning team aspect. So traditional undergrad degree, you have big lectures and you just go away and learn, and group projects are always seen as more of a chore than a task. Whilst actually I think that is one of the strongest parts of the course, is almost half of your assessment in modules is done as a group. So not only do you have to work out how you're going to solve the assessment, but you also have to work on becoming a better leader, becoming a better manager, becoming a better follower by working within your group to understand the group setting and basically solve the task together. And that's part of the challenge. And I love that part of Cranfield, especially because within my group, we've got a bunch of different nationalities. So I've got to know people from cultures where I'd had no contact beforehand. and we're still staying in contact despite not actually being on campus. We've been having Zoom calls and just social catch-ups, which is really, really nice. So there's that. And then I think the second way, yeah, just the practical style of teaching. And yeah, it's not teaching for the point of just learning it, it's teaching for applied practitioners. And that's something which I hadn't really realized the value of until getting to near the end of my degree, where we're taking some of the basics we learned in the first couple of months, and now we're doing these like such as the consultancy project, and we're doing other projects. We're just taking all these individual components and actually building it into something which feels quite professional, because you're having to combine lots of different knowledge and actually put it into use, and that's something which I think is incredibly valuable from the degree.
So you highlighted the application elements of the course. So my final question, I guess, is around where you think where you think you'll end up. Where do you think you will apply this out there?
So when I actually applied to Cranfield, I thought I was going to go into a career of marketing, but I actually ended up taking a massive detour from the first semester because I got fascinated by the operations module, which was probably one of the funnest modules I'd taken whilst at Cranfield. And I ended up applying for a career in operations consulting. So I'm going to be working as an operations consultant for Newton Europe next year. And I'm really excited about that. And I don't think I'd have had not just the hard skills if I hadn't gone to Cranfield, but also the soft skills and confidence to go for that. And actually, that's something I hadn't mentioned. The career department at Cranfield, big shout out to them, because when I was actually doing my application for Newton, I definitely didn't think I was going to get it. It was kind of, I found this role and it was my dream job. But they talked me through every step of the process, and not only giving me soft skill advice, but actually helping me build my confidence, and which was actually helped me get the job in the end, because it meant when I went into that final interview, I was much more at ease than I would have been otherwise. So I am lucky enough to be going into, got a career in consultancy ahead of me. And it's something I don't think I'd have been able to do if I hadn't come here.
Well, congratulations on that, and all the best for that new role, Nick. And you'll join us at the end for the Q&A as well, won't you? So thank you for that. Kalani, a few questions for you, if that's okay. And the first one is similar to my first one to Nick, is why you chose Cranfield in the first place.
Hello everyone. So I had two main reasons why I chose Cranfield. The first one was the reason that I had heard a lot about the world-class faculty that Cranfield has. A lot of professors in Cranfield have experience of working in various industries prior to teaching. So when they come into class, you get a lot of insights about how the situation actually happens in various companies, and how, as a management student, you have to think and react. So that's something I really appreciate, and I must say it was a privilege to be a student of such amazing professors who have such amazing experience in various industries. And the second reason was, like Nick mentioned and Michael mentioned before, because of its close link with the industries. Various industries are linked to Cranfield in a way I don't think any other university has. So you get a lot of practical knowledge, and you get to engage in a lot of activities. And the entrepreneurship program is also well known. There are a lot of activities arranged by the Bettany Center of Entrepreneurship, which was very beneficial for me because I come from a family business background, and all those various interactions and meetings with various entrepreneurs across the world was very wonderful, and it was a great learning experience. Yeah, so I think these are the two reasons why I chose Cranfield.
Could you tell me a little bit about the projects and the modules you've been involved in? You know, the balance of kind of project, module work.
Well, I would like to begin with the Unilever project that I worked with. Like Leila mentioned, my team and myself secured second place for this year's Unilever Innovation Accelerator. And it was an amazing competition. It was very challenging, intense, 3-month program that we had to engage and commit a lot of hours to. So we had mentoring from the Unilever team, from the R&D team of Unilever, and from the Bettany Center. We also had continuous support of our course directors, and it was a very challenging program where we learned a lot about real life problems that big companies face. So I think that was one project that will always be like a memorable experience that I had in Cranfield. Also, I really enjoyed the various simulations that was conducted in Cranfield, and every module, especially like supply chain, had a simulation, which was so very intense and very challenging. And we had one wonderful simulation in corporate sustainability, where we had to imagine what the future will be in a few years. So all these simulations and activities actually makes us apply the knowledge that we have learned into action. And I think that's why Cranfield is so unique, because like Nick said, they don't teach the module just for us to learn and just to stay there. They make you think about it, they make you apply it then and there, and then you kind of reflect on how you've learned it and how you've applied. So I think that was really good.
Thanks, Claudia. And finally, what about you? What are your plans for the future once you leave Cranfield?
My plans is to get back to my family business enterprise. I worked there before I joined the MSc program. So now after I complete it, I plan to get back, and I hope to get it to new heights.
Great. Well, best of luck with that. And thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. So what we'd like to do now, everybody, is to open the Q&A session. So we have our panel here with us, and some of you have already been putting questions to us on the chat, but do feel free to add more. I'm going to share as many of them I can with all of you, and don't forget, we will make the transcripts available afterwards, and we'll come back to you with any questions that we don't get to if we run out of time. But the first question came at the beginning from Pratash, which was, can I apply for September? Well, it's October that we start in, but certainly, Michael, Leila, we're still welcoming applications. I think you had a few today, Michael.
Yeah, indeed. I already had 3 this morning, so that's fantastic. Maybe from some of you, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, so we're very much welcoming applications. But as many of you would expect, Shivang has asked a question about the effect of the current pandemic on our teaching style and whether it will be online learning or classroom teaching. And I'll hand over to Michael to talk about that in a moment. But it's worth noting that we at the university are preparing. You will be starting your course regardless of the conditions that exist at the time. Of course, there is some uncertainty around those conditions, but it's fair to say we're prepared to teach in whichever way is necessary at the time. Michael, is that?
Yeah, and we might also pass this question in a short while to Kalyani and Nick, because they're obviously experiencing it, right? We're all in the present challenging situation of COVID-19. We believe the situation will move on. I mean, it basically moves on every day, but our hope is that we can start just simply as we started last autumn, this autumn. But if we cannot, we have a range of scenarios, and underlying these scenarios are a couple of things. Number one is we pride ourselves, and you heard it from Nick and Kalyani, that we have a lot of activities and interaction in our teaching. We try to keep that however we're going to teach. So right now we are doing, we're putting things virtually, but we do have breakout rooms. We wander as tutors, we wander through those breakout rooms and give feedback. We still have exercises, we still have simulations and so on. So part of that experience we want to obviously replicate if we have to, if we are not allowed to teach you face to face. What we do believe is probably we are allowed. We might have to have social distancing so that we have fewer people. And therefore, there are a range of options that we can consider. Key are probably 3. Number one is we are considering to move some modules that are much more interactive and less suitable for virtual teaching to later in the year. Number 2 would be to flip the classroom, as one says. So we are developing things that are online, but we do believe we have lots of interaction. So we will use the interaction more for application, for consultancy, for coaching, and mentoring activities, right? And number 3, that might mean that we have to stagger the numbers of students coming to sessions, and we might have extra sessions on. But we are still in developing this because the situation is changing so rapidly. Leila, if you want to add something, feel free. Otherwise, I would go to either Nick or Kalyani to hear some experience, because they've seen us having to rush and close down the university for a short while in terms of face-to-face teaching, but of course not in terms of teaching. You okay, Leila?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone, Kalyani or Nick, do you want to talk about your experiences?
So I can mention my experience. Honestly, I think chatting to all of you guys, rather as opposed to the Cranfield panel, with your experience, expectations of online learning is slouching, sitting in your pajamas, potentially not paying attention. Not allowed to do that, unfortunately. I have to say that I was actually quite surprised and with how engaging some of the content was, because instead of having a lot of lectures taking the approach where instead of having long, just them giving a conventional lecture straight to a Zoom camera, it's much more recorded lectures for some of the more content heavy segments, and then the actual Zoom engagement reflects more of what we had in the classroom, which is much more seminar where the lecturers asking questions and asking for audience participation. But I think that also reflected the offline teaching actually in the classroom, where it's actually audience participation drives the conversation forward, because you're not just learning from the lecturers, you're learning from your peers, from their ideas and from their also life experiences, because we've got a range of ages and some people have already had some interesting jobs or internships which they can bring basically experience into and use that to drive the conversation forward in class. So online we definitely have been able to adapt. I think I can probably speak for most of our cohort when I say that we miss the physical interaction, because you're less likely to have the coffee break conversations, which were also very stimulating. But it has adapted, a lot of the content's adapted quite nicely to being online. And also there's probably some added benefits where engagement and communication is a lot quicker, there's less distractions, and the actual class time, I don't know what the modules would have looked like completely offline, but it's much more focused because you do preparation activities beforehand. And actually, for example, Professor Dickmann's module, I think you ended up teaching more stuff online than you would have in the actual class time, because you're no longer limited by class like timetabling issues, so the professors can give you more materials to actually engage with at your own pace, and also every person gets to go through the material at their own pace, and then when you're actually meeting, it's a Zoom seminar. So I hope that gives you a bit of a ramble there, but a taste of what it's like for us at the moment.
Thanks, Nick. Kalani, anything to add?
Yeah, I think it's like Nick mentioned, it's less of a distraction, so you have more time to go through the lecture materials. You can repeat and watch them again if you don't get it at the first time. And all the slides have a voiceover, so it's almost like the professor is right in front of you explaining every line they would have done otherwise in the class. So the voiceover, the extra reading materials, and I think the recorded lectures along with some Zoom sessions is helping us manage it well the last 2 months. And I think that's how the world looks like from now. So I think it's okay. I mean, you can manage this.
Thanks, Kalani. Yeah, just to summarise really, I mean, the university is preparing for all eventualities, as Michael said. And for those of you not in the UK, the government did announce the kind of plan for an easing of the lockdown yesterday. So we are hopeful that by the time we get to October, that we will be able to resume something like normality, but with the kind of social distancing measures that Michael mentioned. But we are prepared for whatever comes our way, but we will be starting in October regardless. The next question is from Bhavesh, and one for you, Michael or Leila. Do the courses in the management school relate to each other? So I think this is about, is there module sharing between the MSc in management, finance and management, etc.?
Do you want to, Leila, or should I?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we do have some modules that shared across Cranfield MIM sister programs, if you like. So we've got MSc in corporate sustainability and management, as well as entrepreneurship. So there are some core modules that you are sharing with those courses. A strategic management module is also shared with MSc in finance. Yeah, so there are some core modules that are shared across the MSc sister programs. if that's answers the questions, I hope.
Yeah, that's great.
Let me add one thing, and that is we might share, but when we have the chance to teach face-to-face, we share in small groups. So we divide people and students into streams rather than teaching 400 students at one time. The top that we teach is 55 normally. Okay, back to you, Neil.
Thanks, Michael. The next question, which I know you responded to on the chat, but I don't know if you want to add to it at all, Michael, for those that haven't seen it. Zhang was asking about the choice of Spain as the elective venue.
Yeah, okay. I mean, look, Granada, if you've ever been, is a fantastic place. It's got full of different cultural backgrounds, lots and lots of different students. And so we interact with them, and we use to go to the Alhambra or go to the three cultures that underline the Muslim, the Jewish and the Christian cultures in Granada. That was one element. The other element was I simply asked students where they wanted to go originally. And so we had five different places that were outlined, and they chose Granada. Okay. And then because we seem to have lots of fun, I always really enjoy being there, and there's a lot of fun going on. Some of the students have heard from earlier years how it was, and then I tried last time to say, okay, let's do, so about a year, 1.5 ago, I asked, okay, should we go to Barcelona? Should we go to some other places? And actually, to my surprise, the clear majority was Granada again. So it seems to work. Yeah.
Okay. Just before I go on to the next question, I should have mentioned around the COVID-19 situation, it's good to monitor our web pages. We have a dedicated coronavirus section on the Cranfield website where you'll get the latest information from us. For example, we've just put our pre-sessional English teaching online for people that are starting in October, and that's constantly updated. So that's a good place to visit on a regular basis. Now we have a question from Simpada, which is about asking a question. Really comes back to, I think it was Nick that was talking about the careers service and the help he received. And the question is around, do we hold a careers fair? Well, we certainly do. We hold more than just one careers fair. We have a very extensive careers service, and they offer everything from large careers fairs to presentations by companies who are looking to recruit our students. We have a very sophisticated database where a very large number of companies are subscribed and can actually look at our students and approach our students, and we have one-to-one coaching as well. So if there's I don't know if there's anything you would add, Leila or Michael, on the careers fair, on the careers service more broadly, but I think it's fair to say it's a comprehensive offering.
Yeah, not anything. I've seen a lot of chat questions around internships and employment opportunities after Cranfield or during Cranfield, I think.
Yeah, and there was a question related to this that one of you asked about whether the internship companies come to Cranfield to recruit a student or not. So the process basically starts early in the year, around January and February, where we engage with companies and we put together some briefs, as I said. We advertise those briefs on an internal portal. You would apply to those different projects, and then the company shortlist candidates for interview. So for interviews, some of the companies prefer a face-to-face interview where you take a trip, for example, to London to attend the interview, the assessment center and so on. And some of the companies always prefer a virtual interview. I mean, even before COVID-19, we had a lot of Skype interviews. And then once you receive the offer from the company, you will start your internship wherever they are across the UK, but also sometimes it can be in other countries. So basically, you also can self-source your internship if you wish so. So if you've got a contact, if you like to work for a specific company, you can always follow up with your own contact. But what we do that we believe is quite unique in terms of an MSc in management course is to provide you with opportunity and put you in contact with those companies. So basically we use the contacts that we have from previous years. We're constantly going around the country promoting the course and attracting interest to add more companies to our data set. And basically we put together a number of projects for you to be able to apply. So if you don't have a network in the UK, that's a fantastic starting point.
Thank you very much, Leila. Question from someone else here, Rishabh, who's asking around rankings, Michael. This program and rankings. Did you see that question?
I didn't see the question.
So it's basically suggesting that we're not in the rankings in this year, 2020. I don't think that's the case, though.
Actually, that is in one ranking that is absolutely the case, and the reason was that to run the ranking, you need a specific percentage of students answering, and to my I have to say, I have to own up to this. I was really annoyed, but to my annoyance, we didn't get enough respondents in that, so we're not in that ranking.
So it's one ranking. It's obviously not all. It's not.
Yeah, because they've been different, but we've learned from this. Okay, now I'm saying to students, guys, okay, it's your program. You have to answer when they approach you for a ranking, right?
Yeah.
I know times are difficult and you're busy.
We get lots of emails, don't we? It's kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And another question. There's quite a lot here around recruitment reports, average salary. I think maybe that's something we can go back with after the session, perhaps, and communicate out, unless you want to cover that now. We have some details to hand.
I mean, the detail changes every year, right? But the rough detail, to my understanding, is approximately 95% or so of students have a job after 3 months, and their salaries are somewhere around £30,000, maybe slightly higher. Now that really depends on where they go to in terms of the country, and also, I mean, I don't know, Kalyani, how it will be with you, but if you go back to your own company, and we have a lot of students whose parents have companies, and the parents might have just financed your master's degree in the UK. How willing are they to up your salary? I'm not, Kalyani, you don't have to answer on that one, but I think there is some effect happening there that makes it quite difficult to really understand what goes on, to be honest. Leila?
Yeah, I mean, taking that all into account, I think the average salary was around 37.
Oh, 37. Oh, good.
Yeah, in previous economist ranking. And one of you asked about the specifically in financial sector. Yeah, so we have a students had secured job in a range of companies. In fact, let me just quickly share with you the career slide.
Oh, thanks, Leila.
Yeah. So basically, as you can see, perhaps one of the strengths of the course is securing an offer within 3 months. So basically, we've been ranked first in Europe and 9th in the world for in terms of the percentage of job-seeking graduates who secure an offer within the 3 months of their graduation. So about 100% 2016 to 93% 2018. So the students actually go to a range of companies, as Michael mentioned. We have the students went to HSBC, a lot of venture capitalists as well. In London, for example, we had a student went to Compendium last year. We've got AKA this year who was offering internship and hoping to recruit as well. So yeah, a number of financial sector as well, venture capitalists, as well as banking sector, I would say.
Thanks, Leila.
Sorry, Neil. Leila, I've also seen questions about internship and employment and so on. Do you want to comment on this year's activities to get virtual internships and so on? Because the link, I'm coming to this, the link that we have very high employment rates is also to do with a lot of companies actually employing their interns after the internship.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, guys, I mean, although this sort of pandemic changed everything we know about life, it didn't change the way we approach internships and companies. So we didn't change our targets. We are hitting the same sort of target as previous years in terms of offering internship opportunities to our students, even in this hardest situation of all times. So basically, we are crafting our offering this year around virtual internships with the possibility of students joining the company depending on the circumstance as hopefully it improves. Yeah, so around 80, we've got around 86% internships offering, and we've got another month to go this year as well. But I think this is what we also want you to learn when you come to Cranfield, and as you sort of develop your management skills and capabilities, that we have to be adaptable. So basically, we had to change our strategies. For example, this year, we focused our energy on some sectors that were perhaps in more demand. For example, healthcare sector. So we secured an internship project with NHS this year, which is a fantastic opportunity. We had internships with Merck, the giant pharmaceutical company. We had a lot of internships this year with online businesses, fintech, as well as consumer goods, because that's where the need is at the moment. So basically, we sort of adapt and adjust to whatever's needed in that specific time set. And I think what we have been true to, and we do everything we can to deliver, is to expose you to the reality of management challenges, whatever that reality is. And I think that we've managed to achieve that this year as well.
Thanks, Leila. We've got a question about, can we make a guess about when we'll decide about online or classroom teaching will be made? And I don't think we can tell you when we will make that decision, but I think, as Michael said earlier, it's a constantly changing situation, isn't it, Michael? And I think there's likely to be some online components to support what's likely to be a more socially distanced campus provision, but we would hope that there will be people on campus, wouldn't we, Michael? That would be our hope. Leila, Michael.
Yes, and as far as I understand, the actual campus and how that's structured is not the problem in terms of social isolation. The issue we do have is what I said before, is actually when everybody wants to go to a lecture room, and therefore we need to be creative about it. There are some advantages, as Kalyani and Nick outlined, right? You will have lectures where you can, if we just imagine we have face-to-face lectures, but because we are now also have shifted into virtual, you will find them on some site where you can have a voiceover and you listen to it. And the voiceover is much better than the actual lecture just recorded, because we design it in a different way, of course. So my hope is we get as many students as possible also in some sort of face-to-face situation. We need to be creative about it, but living on campus is actually really quite secure compared to some other scenarios.
And if I could pick up on that, we've got a question on accommodation as well, Michael. So just briefly to summarise the accommodation situation, Cranfield is equidistant between two medium-sized towns. It's around an hour from London, but we're in a rural location. So as Michael says, it is very secure. We have a lot of accommodation on campus, but then there is also a lot of private accommodation in Cranfield Village, which is a sort of 20-minute walk or a 15-minute bike ride, and also in the nearby towns. So there is a wealth of off-campus accommodation as well as on campus. Now, we are at the end. Our time is up, I'm afraid. We've got a few more questions. Perhaps we could take the transcript and post those questions online and respond to them in writing so that everybody has their questions answered. I think we've covered 80% of them, certainly. But of course, if any of you have any specific questions, please email us directly and we will be happy to respond. But otherwise, thank you very much to Michael, to Leila, Kalani, Nick, thank you for joining, and thank you to all of us at home for joining us, and we hope to see you at Cranfield in October. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Stay healthy.
And good luck with applications.
Stay safe.
Yeah.